some people said, "Hey Andrew, why don't you watch and review The Little Things? That looks like it's going to be good." And I said to myself, no, I'm going to watch Fatal, or Fatale, or whatever the fuck it's called. But I mean, before we get to that, there's some business we need to attend to. So you see that poster right there? I think we need a new one. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Oh boy, this is gonna be something. Look at that. Look at that. You see that? You see that? You see that? That's like my life's work. That's like the pinnacle of what I'm gonna have for a while. Wow. You might be wondering, why did I just show you a small montage of me putting up a poster for a few minutes? Well, genuinely, that was probably more entertaining than Fatal. We'll put you right there. You can stay there. We'll figure you out next time. Fatal was directed by Deon Taylor and David Lowery. If those names don't mean anything to you, let me put some perspective on those two names. Those guys are behind some critically acclaimed movies such as The Intruder and Traffic. If you've never seen them before, you're lucky. Now, I'd hate to rag on the guy because it is hard to make movies. But when I see a movie with that name on it, and then I find out you made the movie The Intruder, I think we're going to have some problems here. So Fatal is about a guy who works with the NBA he does endorsements, who's married to somebody, and he goes off on a bachelor party, and he has a one-night stand with somebody because, marriage is so hard these days. And he has this one-night stand with, he later finds out, a detective. And coincidentally enough, he gets involved in this crime that happens at his house. And then the detective that he slept with is on his case. And then there's a whole shitload of twists and turns, and this movie is just fucking horrible. Now, the main two people that are in this movie that it's focused on is... Hold on, what is this guy's name? Michael Ealy. He plays the main guy. I know this is kind of unprofessional, but I'd like to forget as much about this movie as possible, so I just want to get this review over with. Michael Ealy plays Derek Tyler. That's the guy who sleeps with this person, Hilary Swank, who is Detective Val Quinlan. So there's that. Oh my fucking god. The cast very much is just there. Some of these people have been in something before that is moderately okay to garbage, but I mean, here's the thing. When I watched this movie and I looked at Michael Ealy playing this character, I was like, he has something. I feel like he can bring something to the table. He just needs a better script. Except the problem is that he wants to make these movies that cost dirt cheap. They don't cost a lot to make, and they make their budget back very quickly. It's recycled plots. It's the same shit you see all the time. When the Bow Breaks, that sort of thing, Unforgettable, those type of movies. They come and go. They found a formula where they're just like, we get to turn out these shitty, mediocre movies that somehow make their budget back, and they're just going to keep making them because apparently people like to see that. I don't know how people like to see that. It just seems generic. It's boring. It sucks. So Michael Ealy does fine in his role. I don't think he's awful in any way. He's doing fine. It's really Hilary Swank as Detective Val, is the bigger thing, because it's not more so her acting, even though some parts are questionable at her acting skills in this movie. But the script, like the characters, how they're written is so poor. The first thing you see in this movie is Michael Ealy's character's driving on a highway in his glasses with his, awesome car, cool, you make money, whatever. And then you hear a narration over something about like how life changes, before your eyes, and like this is the moment that almost changed my life. It's like, okay, we're gonna get a narrated movie. Okay, fine, we'll roll with that. And then he just doesn't narrate again. Doesn't. This movie just forgets that they did that. So we start out the movie with him and his buddy toasting about their business. And I'm like, I wrote even in my notes, I was like, toast, bro. It's not that hard. It took them like 5 times to toast about themselves. Like, who writes this? This feels like filler at times. It feels like they didn't know what to do and how to really process the script and like be like, how are we going to make this situation happen? Like, how are we going to portray this story on the big screen? And they're just like, I guess we'll do this a couple times, and like it'll cover up a few seconds in a couple minutes, and then there you go. And really, the worst part about this is that like you don't root for anybody in this movie. Everybody is an asshole. You don't root for them. It's just like they all make bad choices that you're like, why would you do that? It's like, who cares? It's all borderline annoying shit that I'm just tired of. So he has this one night stand with the detective, and then, like I said before, a crime happens, and the detective is on the case. So it causes for awkward tension. Now, I wouldn't be too mad at this if this movie just like didn't take itself so seriously, but it does. It treats itself as this like psychological thriller horror type thing when it happens, and in reality it's just garbage. So I'll spoil some stuff at the end, so we'll get that stuff down to the nitty gritty at the end of the video after the gradings and all that. But let's move on to some other things. As I said, the characters are garbage. They're poorly written. The situation is just poorly written and poorly executed. There's really nothing stunning happening with the camera work. I wrote there was one good shot where it focused on Michael Ealy and then the camera backed up and then focused on something else. That's a nice shot. I don't see many of those shots often anymore. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is when in the Harry Potter series someone's holding a piece of hair and it focuses on their face and then it comes down to the hair so you see the hair more. That's about all I know. You don't see the shot a lot, and it's fine. It's fine. Now, here's another thing. These movies that these guys have made have all been formulaic in the sense of they have the hot girl swimming around in the pool because she's hot, and they play this really bad modern day music. I'm not a fan of modern day music for the most part at all. So like when I'm hearing this shitty music that's playing and it's like the camera's going up and down her legs, and I'm just like, bro, I'm over it. I don't need to see that. It's tasteless in my opinion, because it's like, what purpose does this serve other than you're just putting in this popular song possibly, and you're trying to get these people to be like, oh, I know that song. Really, with the songs, that's how this movie feels. It feels like a music video at times. It feels like very incoherent, and even the club scene, for God's sakes, the club scene where people are just grinding on each other, and you're listening to the music, and then something, you get to the one night stand thing, and it's like softcore porn brought to the big screen, and it's so dumb. I don't need to see that. This movie's rated R, by the way, so why would you even, like, if you're gonna do it, like, you can do it better than that if you really wanted to. You have an R rating. You're shooting it like it's a PG-13. You're shooting it like it is The Intruder. The Intruder is PG-13, I believe. That's shot. softcore, whatever. It's rated R. I'm not saying I want to see it, but like, if you're gonna go that route, you might as well just go that route. Now, honestly, the editing is also very horrific. As I said before, it's shot like a music video. There's a fight scene in it, and it is without a doubt like one of the worst things I've seen in quite some time. Take, for example, a big problem with MCU long time ago was their action scenes were praised well at the time, but looking back on them, they're pretty bad because they're like zoomed in, it's quick shots, you can't really comprehend it. That's why I like films like John Wick, where you really see the action, you see the actors doing their things, it's long takes. MCU's finally gotten around to that, and has shot action way better now than they have before, but that's what that was like. That's what this whole movie is like. It's just so choppy, and it's so hard to look at. Like, it's insane. Also, with the soundtrack, not the music that they get the rights to, but like the actual score that they're going for, they really decided that like The Shining was like a cool thing, because you hear, if you remember in the soundtrack of The Shining, when something tense is happening, the piano, like, you'll hear the ding, 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 and it gets rapid and it, like, starts going a little bit more, right? They use this like overkill, like it's insane, like how many times I'm like, am I supposed to feel scared? Because I don't feel scared. And the jump scares, you fuck off with those jump scares. It's loud noises, it's not scary, you see them coming from a mile away. It's stupid, you need to stop. Do better. Alright, so I'm just gonna end it here, and I'm just gonna say I'm gonna give Fatale fucking a dud. It's nothing. You shouldn't watch it. It's bad. It's not even bad in the sense of like Truth or Dare where you can laugh at it. It's just bad. Okay, now we get to the spoiler section. This is where I'm going to try to keep it short because I really don't want to talk about this movie anymore. So we find out that Detective Val has a side story throughout the entire movie. First couple times I saw it, I went, why are we seeing this? What does this mean? This feels like it's very much just thrown out of left field, that they're trying to fill up the script. They're trying to fill up time. They're trying to be feature length. They're just trying to get this out there. So we later find out that she had an accident a long time ago with her daughter. She got divorced, and now the husband has custody of the daughter, and she's sobered up, and she wants to see her, and it's been told time and time again. The one spouse has had a problem. They don't get custody. They claim that they are better now and they want custody, and then the other guy's like, you're never going to get them back. It will never, ever happen. So that's a subplot throughout the entire thing. Michael Ealy's character gets attacked in his house, and then that's when she arrives. Except she lied. She was lied to by Michael Ealy's character, gave a completely different name and said he lived in Seattle. I don't know where he actually lives, though. They never really say it, and if they did, I didn't care enough to listen. It's this whole thing where it's like, he's like, you go around in the movie, and then he's like, oh my god, like, this is so stressful because, like, I cheated on her with, this Vegas thing, and, she's, like, torturing me with it because my wife doesn't know, and la da 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 da. And then you find out later in the movie that Michael Ealy's business partner is clapping cheeks with his wife. Why? Why is this isn't introduced? Who knows? And then they make this weird thing where the detective is now like, oh, well, it was, you would think it would be a robbery if something was stolen, but nothing was stolen, so it was like a hit piece. So maybe like your buddy and your wife were on a hit piece to kill you so they could take your business and then go somewhere and just be with themselves. I'm like, oh my god, like, we're overcomplicating this right now, I feel like. And then what happens later is Michael Ealy meets Val at her place. He's drunk, and then he's talking about, like, oh, what is that? What does this situation make you feel angry? And then he goes, yeah, and then they bone. But it's like 10 seconds, maybe? Like, I don't know if being drunk makes you go faster, but needless to say, it lasted a very short amount of time, and then he drives away. And then you find out the day later, the cops show up at his house, take him into custody. She goes into the interrogation room and is like, hey, guess what? Your wife and your buddy are dead, and I think you did it. So now I'm like, okay, this is just, alright, we're getting into many different scenarios right now, and I don't know what's happening. So then this whole scenario plays out where it's like, you were drunk, and you said you wish, you could kill them right now. And then your wedding ring was there, and they were both shot, and bleh. And then he goes to this funeral, comes back from the funeral with his family, and she's, parked outside, after they show up, and then she's like, I just want to send my condolences. And then Michael Ealy somehow finds out that she's crazy enough to have actually murdered them. She did. Because, she was used by him, and she doesn't feel good about the situation and all that, so she's now upset that she was in a one-night stand with Michael Ealy. I don't know if many people would have been pissed that Michael Ealy did that to you, but she's taking it really hard. And so now this whole rigmarole finds out where it's like, oh, they're never gonna find me. And, like, the plot twist becomes even weirder, because then he meets her at the beach house that the wife and the buddy were killed at. Meets her up there, and then somehow, some way, he gets his gun, fingerprints on the gun, and then she's like, now I have the weapon that would, conclude the case. But now what we can do is this. If you kill my ex-husband, I will make this all disappear, because, by the way, I killed your brother when they tried to attack me because you told them. And if you kill my ex-husband, I'll just pin the murders on your cousin, and then we'll do away with it. I'm like, this is just really gone places, and I'm not ready for the rest of this movie, and I want it to end. So he then finds the husband, because at exactly this time he's going to be running, and at exactly this place he's going to be there, and you're going to kill him, and yeah. Kills him accidentally, because, why he had to die beyond me. He goes back to Val's place, and then he gets in a shootout with her. And so they do the really crappy jump scare where she gets shot and he kicks the gun away, and she's like lying on the ground and like coughing up blood, and then, he starts walking away because he thinks she's dead. And then turns around, oh no, she's gone. Jump scare, oh, she comes from behind and stabs this guy like 12 times. How is he alive? And then they get in the elevator, she can stab him again, shoots her right in the chest, and then she's like, oh, second bullet in my chest. Oh, it's like she survived the one in the shoulder. Like, okay. I'm thinking to myself, like, how is this guy alive? And, like, how are they wrapping this up? Like, if they both die, I'm like, okay, sure. But then he pulls out, because he's wearing a leather jacket, he pulls out his pocket, and he's like, I caught you red-handed, because they were talking about the murders and how she confesses it to it. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You mean to tell me this phone was in his pocket the entire time, and the audio was just crystal clear? Like, there's no ruffling, there's no muffled sounds. Like, this is as clear as my voice speaking into this microphone is right now. That's how clear the audio would be on the phone. And so she dies. He walks out of the elevator when the cops show up, and then he's just innocent, and then it ends on the stupidest thing where he's driving his car down the highway, and then you hear the radio, and the guy's like, oh, guess what, that guy, he's free now, and, we need to stop, trying to arrest innocent black men for things that they haven't done. I'm like, okay, I get the message. I'm like, this is such a weird way to wrap up the movie. And then I thought to myself at the end, I'm like, hold on, where was Buddy's wife during this whole thing? Like, can you imagine this? Like, your husband clapping cheeks with your best friend, or with his best friend's wife, and then he shows up dead, and then we don't hear anything from her the entire movie. There's no hint of her afterwards. There's nothing. She's just gone. So yeah, I obviously don't recommend this movie. This movie is horrible. It's a complete waste of time. I'll take the hit because I don't want you guys to give it its money. I didn't give it money, but I went to see it. It's a waste of my time, really. But I hope this was more entertaining than that movie if you did see it. And if you saw it, let me know what you thought. Did you think it was like a cinematic masterpiece? Did you think it was the worst thing in the world? I've probably seen worse movies than this, but this is just bottom tier directing, writing, execution. And as I said before, some of these actors could probably bring something really good to a movie, except they just need better scripts. Except the problem is they're just going to keep getting these scripts because they'll keep doing it because they're going to get some amount of money for it and the budget will be made back and they'll just keep churning out this crap for years to come. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that video. That was a little bit longer than I expected. So I will be back soon with a review on the little things and I will talk to you guys next time.